Okay, welcome back, Quasar Markets Live. Howard Greenberg here, your host. Taking a look here at midday at 1 o'clock, what we got going on. S&P is we're still seeing a weak day so far, down about a half a point. Let me pull up some charts here for us. And we can see on the hourly chart here, gotten down as low as 556.89 today. We have moved back up a little bit above 558, trying to break up to 559. Looking at the hourly linear regression, we are trying to stay right at that bottom edge of it. See if we can work our way back up this afternoon here as we lead into earnings with NVIDIA and others. Take a look at the NASDAQ, down almost a point here now. Or excuse me, 4.38% here. No, I said it right the first time. Down almost a point, 4.43 points. Sorry about that. Okay, so NASDAQ down almost a point there. NVIDIA, the big one we're all talking about today. You can see it did find support right around that 123.32 I had drawn out here. Horizontal line earlier in the day that, held us about 3:30 back here on Thursday. Hit us on Monday around 10:30 a.m. Again on Tuesday. Provided support yesterday. Provided support again today. Don't want to test that too many times, but that is a pretty good double bottom there. Let's see if we can start to push higher as we get into the afternoon, closer to their earnings reports. Tesla, another one that's been bouncing back here over the last hour or so. Had gotten as low as 204.20. Now back up almost at 207, so a decent little bounce back here. Looks like the sell-off sort of slowed down here in the 12 to 1 o'clock lunch hour. Let's see if that turns out to be the case. Same thing, snow. CrowdStrike, a little bit of a better recovery here over the last 2 hours. We know that they have their earnings reports here. Apple holding up a little bit better on the tech side today, only down 0.21, trying to make a move back up towards even. The Dow's dropped down. I did notice too that the Dow was being dragged down earlier by Nike. And we can see Nike down about 2.5%. So that was definitely one of the ones to keep an eye on today. Not really much news that I've seen on Nike today. I mean, it has made a big move up over the last month or so, up about 15%. So it has moved in a good direction leading into this. Amazon actually down about 1.4% too on the Dow. .4%. You can see it's held support here. Well, Tuesday, August 13th pretty well. Let's look at this on the daily chart. You can see though, anything below this 170 though gives you some downside towards that 165 area. Amazon definitely, down about 15% from the highs earlier in the year. Let's see what other stocks are moving here today. Intel is another one. So most of the chips not holding up very good headed into NVIDIA today. What about AMD? No, most of the chips down about 2% across the board here. The big chip players, so something to keep an eye on there for sure. Okay, well, we're going to break here off into an interview I did the other day with Scott Bauer, CEO and founder of Prosper Trading Academy, and talking a little bit about a little bit of about a trader's mentality. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's pull that up for you. Good afternoon, Quasar Market Live. I am so happy to be here with my first guest, Scott Bauer, the CEO and founder of Prosper Trading Academy, who I'm proud to say my former employer, great guy, and just one of the best educators I've ever seen when it comes to financial stuff. How you doing today, Scott?
I am so excited to be here, be the first one ever on QM Live. I mean, this is going to be awesome, groundbreaking. I'm great. How are you, Howard?
I'm doing great. It's been an interesting day. It looks like we're trying to move up. At least Bitcoin is. QQQ, I can't get moving today.
No, down about 1% right now. Nasdaq was kind of flatlined earlier today, and then it's really getting hit the most out of any of the sectors. I mean, the Dow is still barely positive. S&Ps are down a smidge. The small caps, the Russell, still positive. So, probably, in my opinion, just a little profit taking off of last week's euphoria.
That makes a lot of sense. So one of the things I wanted to do was, I was in a chat with you the other day where you were explaining to some sort of, newbie retail traders about the trader's mindset. And it's something I know before I started at Prosper, I didn't look at things this way. And I was really what you call a permabull. I just, always was buying with it. It can still go up. It can still go up. And I was hoping that you could really explain to our, viewers what that trader's mindset is.
Sure. So I think first off, someone that's trading in the markets has to understand or has to set out as a goal. Are they trading or are they investing? Because they are completely two different things. And so many people that I come across look at trades more so as an investment. And that's where, kind of this terminology that you just talked about, permabull, comes in, where no matter what, they're buying something with the opinion or the mindset that it's going to go up because the market always goes up. And listen, if you've been long in this market, for years and years, you've done pretty well. But if you're trading, that is different. If you're investing, great. Think about where things are going to be 9 months, 2 years, 10 years from now. If you're trading, I want to think about where it's going to be in a minute, in 6 hours, in 2 days, in a week, that kind of time frame. So, the perma bull, meaning someone that just thinks things are going up, 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 maybe in the long run, you think they are. Great. But if you're trading, maybe you're looking at technicals, you're looking at your charts, whatever it may be, and say, you know what, this stock doesn't look so good right now, even though I like it for the long term. If I'm going to make a trade on it, a short-term trade, maybe it's okay to buy some puts or sell call spread or whatever it is. So again, I think so many, especially newer traders, just get locked in to the market only going one direction and thinking about, boy, a stock like Amazon or a stock like Nvidia, I mean, gotta have that in my IRA, right? Gotta have that in my 401k. Great, but that doesn't mean that you can't trade it to the short side. So that's one of the things I really like to impress upon my students and people that I come in contact with is first thing you need to do is separate the trader mentality from the investor mentality.
Absolutely. And to go even a step further is to understand what you're trading. I can't tell you how many times when I was at Prosper, people would just trade sometimes. They would come to us and say, I did this. Well, why'd you do it? And they didn't even understand what they were trying to accomplish, what that trade actually needed to do to be profitable or to not be profitable. And then having a stop loss, having a target price, where you want to take some profit. So many traders just go in without those setups, and it really sets them off at a disadvantage.
There's no question about it. And I think that as a trader, whether you're a day trader, a swing trader, whatever it is, especially if you're newer, you're anxious. You're anxious to make a trade. You're anxious to get in on the action. You got to feel the vibe. You got to feel the juice. And so a lot of traders will make trades that they probably shouldn't, just because they need to feel that they're in the game, right? So often, Howard, and you know this, so often the best trade is no trade at all, right? If the stars are not aligning for what you're looking at in terms of whatever technical indicators you're looking at or whatever it else might be, okay, they don't align. Don't trade. And I can guarantee you, after doing this for 35 years, I can 100% guarantee you there's gonna be another trade to make that fits all of the parameters that you want it to. But so many people get caught up with FOMO.
Yeah, and like you said, again, allocation of funds, not understanding that you should almost never be 100% allocated because you're stuck. I mean, it's crazy, And then a second part of that is, I think that you do a good job of talking about and teaching is, if you've got 5 or 6 positions, they shouldn't all be directionally one way, because
totally agreed with that as well. Totally agreed. I mean, realistically, you're not going to have a balanced portfolio. You're just not. You're not going to have 50-50, bullish or bearish. It just doesn't work out that way, and that's okay. But you're 100% right. If I have 6, 10, 15 positions on, they're not going to all be with the hope that the market is moving one way or the other. That is that is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that's one thing. And another one that I think I see a lot of times that is a little bit of a misnomer is when people think they're hedging, a bullish portfolio with the VIX. And that's volatility. And, again, something that I didn't understand until I started working at Prosper. So maybe if you could touch a little bit on the difference between the two and why the VIX isn't an actual true, look at a bearish position.
Yeah. So everybody looks at the VIX as the fear indicator in the marketplace. And we know the VIX does move inversely typically to the market. Market goes up, VIX goes down, vice versa. That doesn't mean, though, that volatility can't continue to move higher even when the market moves higher. Now, in what we saw 3 weeks ago in the, I'm not even going to call it the collapse of the market, the 2-day craziness we saw with the Japan carry trade, yen carry trade, and when we saw VIX absolutely skyrocket, well, yes, people were buying VIX calls in the hopes that volatility would pick up. Now, when does volatility pick up? Typically, when the market sells off, but it is not a direct hedge against long positions. It is, if you want to say, a hedge against an S&P portfolio, but not against individual equities. If you want to take it and go, that next step further, what you really need to do is look at, any positions you may have in your portfolio, whether it's, anything from commodities to NVIDIA, Amazon, whatever it might be. And then you have to look at that correlation or that beta to the S&P 500 to really determine if you're getting a hedge out of your VIX, because the VIX is a 30-day forward look at the volatility in the S&P 500. That's what it is. So, when VIX gets down to low levels, low teens, mid-teens right now, typically it's a buy. When VIX skyrocketed a few weeks ago into the 30s, and we actually saw a print, and I say a print because it wasn't really trading there, but a print in 60 plus handle, it's a sell. But you're right, Howard. That's what it indicates is the level of volatility as just opposed to a hedge against your overall portfolio.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, Scott. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what Prosper Trading Academy does. I know personally from having worked there, but if you could let our viewers know what you and Scott and Mike and Charlie and all the boys do over there and how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So we are an education trading academy, an education platform. It's education first. I've been in this business for 35 years, both as a floor trader and as an educator. I learned my way. I learned this business in the pits like you see behind me here, and I've been doing it for 35 years. Mike Shore, one of our other educators, same thing. Charlie Moon never traded on the floor. Charlie Moon came into this business with a poker background, actually, and applied a lot of the principles in statistics and probabilities from what he did in poker to trading, and is unbelievably successful. But what we do on a daily basis while the markets are open is we work live with our students while the market is trading, and we discuss potential positions. We discuss why we may want to do this, why we might want to do this. And yes, we do put out trade signals. And yes, they are, they're traded and we track performance and all of that. But I would tell you for 90, 85% of the day, it's all about the education. It really is. Yes, I know it's my company, but there is not a finer education, financial education company out there. Between what you get from the live mentorship each and every day to our video archives and all of the data and all of the resources that we have. But most importantly, the one-on-one interaction that our students get with professionals.
And I can speak to that. I saw it firsthand. I still talk to a lot of the students in your rooms on a daily basis or a weekly basis that were, students of mine at the time on the crypto room that we had. And, the level of devotion that you guys, work through when someone does make a trade that's outside of the parameters and then says, hey, how do I get out of this? The three of you guys working together, look at all the angles, all the different ways you can try to help somebody is nothing but, legendary in the industry. So we're so happy to, and that's what we're going to try to do here at Quasar Live is, we want to not just bring the news, we want to bring an education to it. We want to teach people, what are you looking at when they make that announcement about durable goods? What should be happening? What are you looking at to happen from it? And how can you make actionable decisions from there?
What are maybe the best decisions, right? Because we can all collectively, look at something, whether it's crypto, a commodity, a stock, whatever, and say, yeah, we should be bullish here. But then how do you approach it? What is the best way? What is the best strategy? What gives you the best bang for your buck? Rather than just saying, I'm going to buy Microsoft right now at 411.88 where it's trading right now. Maybe there's something else that has better bang for the buck. That's what we're giving to our students.
And that is where you guys separate. I can tell you how many times I would hit you up on Slack and tell you I was looking at, Mara or Riot, Bitcoin yep. ones, I think it's going to go up because earnings are coming or they're about to announce this or that I would know from my side. And you'd say, give me 2 minutes, and you'd look at it and come back with a calendar calendar or a covered call or whatever it was. That was the right way to play it, as opposed to just buying it on, a buy. So I do really recommend you guys take a look at what Prosper Trading does. It's prospertradingacademy.com. You can find Scott at CBOESIB and on Twitter. Thank you so much for being my first guest, Scott, and I look forward to talking to you next week.
Always a pleasure, man. You're the best.
Okay, that was Scott Bauer from Prosper Trading Academy talking a little bit about that trader's mindset. And it goes to show today might have been one of those days that some people would probably look back and say, maybe I shouldn't have traded so early this morning. Maybe I should have sat on my hands. Maybe today's trade, if I was sort of in the bullish camp, was no trade so far, because as we can see, we are still down towards the lows of the day here on the SPY. We're at about 557.72. Some of that momentum we had seen before I put on that video with Scott seems to have vanished away. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ QQQ ETF that tracks the NASDAQ. Performing a little better over the last hour, but down over a point there. So we're now down 1.12%. NVIDIA trying to hold the bottom of the hourly linear regression there. Tesla, same thing. Very similar here. Dow Industrial also. VIX has moved up almost 10%, we can see here. This morning we've had a nice little move up there. Ooh, Nordstrom's giving back those big gains here over the last 2 hours. Now only up about 3.6% after being up 8-9%, hitting as high as 23.23 earlier today. Same thing with Kohl's giving back a lot of its gains. Abercrombie, after giving bad guidance, way down, about almost 18% here now. PDD, the parent company of Temu, looks to be trying to form a bottom wall here. Box, so on this, one of the ones still keeping its momentum going a little bit here is Box, the cloud storage solution. SCMI also still trying to move back up after bottoming as low as 395. Back up at the 419 mark right here. Okay. Take a look at the heat map. We can see mostly reds across this heat map. Looks like health and technology about the only real sector showing some strength today. Johnson & Johnson. I'm not sure who MRK is offhand. Merck. Finance has some winners and losers also. Let's see, Wells Fargo up about 1.21. PGR up a little over half a point. Fiserv. BTIJ initiated coverage for Fiserv today with a buy rating, as you can see. Saying $200 per share, their target. Could be part of the reason it is getting a little bit of a move up here. Berkshire went over $1 trillion today in value. We still there? Oh, back down to 995. It had reached 1 trillion. Retail has got a couple of winners here. O'Reilly Automotive up about 1.4% today. Well, the real news there was that the automotive director sold about $7 million in company stock 4 days ago. Actually got a downgrade to 1175. Not a lot of fundamental news there that should be pushing that. Branch Out Food, big winner. New listing, it looks. Well, not new listing. No, never mind. The only thing I see is they got financing to facilitate the completion of a new production facility in Peru. Trying to see if I find any other. They reported a year-over-year increase in its first half revenue results. Okay. Plant-based dehydrated fruit, vegetable snacks, and powders. Avocado chips, banana bites, Brussels sprout crisps. One of the big winners so far today. Another one. Acid Entity is another one that's up 73% in NASDAQ. Fleur. Not seeing any real new ideas there, new news or anything. Okay, well that does it for our 1 o'clock show here. I will be back at 3 o'clock to do a market wrap up on the afternoon leading us into NVIDIA. I'm going to try to get Steve back in for a little bit of a visit and we'll go from there. I look forward to seeing you next time.